All right, you guys, if you're looking for a little help on this worksheet, I'm going to go through a few of the problems and maybe just kind of get you started on it in case you're getting stuck on certain ones. Maybe let's start with number 2, I think is the first one I want to look at. Again, draw your line right down the middle to remind yourself whatever I do on one side, I got to do on the other side. That's how I keep an equation, or in this case, an inequality balanced. Look for those steps that we've talked about. Can you distribute in this problem? Nope, nowhere to distribute. Can you collect like terms on either of the sides? Nope, nowhere to collect any like terms. But now I got to get the variable on one side. Again, I typically like to put it on the left side just because that's the way we like to see it in the end. Doesn't mean you have to, but that's what I'm going to do this time. So that means I'm going to subtract 8x from both sides because that'll get rid of the x's on the right side and it'll put them all on the left side, right? That's what I want, so I can eventually get it isolated. That is going to give me negative 3x, and maybe that'll ring a bell right now. It's like, okay, it's negative, so keep that in mind as we keep solving. That gives me then minus 7, and then less than, or again, greater than or equal to 11. Again, write everything down. You have to write the rest down, and then go from there. Then it looks just like a problem you've done before. If you don't rewrite stuff, though, then we lose track of terms. But once you rewrite it, now hopefully it starts to look familiar, like, oh, that's a 2-step inequality. Or at least maybe even just by looking at it, you'll be like, oh, I know what I need to do next. Now we need to add 7 to both sides because my variable's on the left. So I'm trying to isolate it and get rid of stuff by it. So that negative 7's got to go by adding 7 to both sides. And then I've got the negative 3x, bring it down to the next line. Negative 3x greater than or equal to 18. And now my next step, and my last step, is divide both sides by negative 3. And here's that case again. I'm dividing by negative number. So I've got to circle my inequality and bring it down to the next line. And now it's going to be a less than or equal to. Because I'm dividing by a negative number, and dividing by a negative or multiplying by a negative does funky things when it comes to inequalities. It changes the signs of both the answers on each side, and both the numbers on each side. And so that to incorporate that and make it the correct inequality still, I've got to change the sign around. Okay. So now I've got negative 6 as my key number. I'm going to fill that. I'm going to make a filled in circle. Okay. There's my filled in circle. And now I got to shade x as less than negative 6. So negative 7, negative 8, negative 9, all those types of numbers would be solutions to that original inequality. Those kind of numbers that are more negative. That'll make them true. Again, if you want to check one, here's negative 8. Plug it on in for yourself and see that would work. I'll plug it in here briefly. Negative 8 times 5 would give me negative 40 minus 7 on this left side, which gives me negative 47. Okay, I'm just kind of working up in this case. But this says that this side should be greater than or equal to if I plugged in the right type of number. Let me go back. I had negative 8, correct? Negative 8. Negative 8 times 8 gives me negative 64 over here plus 11. When I add negative 64 and 11, I get negative 53. And yeah, negative 47 is greater than negative 53, right? It's a lesser negative number. So it worked. So that means I must have shaded towards the right side, or the correct side, which is over here. That's where all the answers must be. Okay, so just a reminder of what we're finding and what we're trying to do. Get our solution and graph it. It shows all the correct solutions for the original inequality. Okay, I'm going to pick out another one to do. I'm just going to do the one right below that, okay, which is number 5 in this case, it looks like. So this one, can I distribute? Again, walking through our steps, can I distribute on either of the sides? Nope, no parentheses, nothing to do there. But I can collect some like terms now on each side. Take a look over here. I've got 2 constants that I can put together. 10 and 17 gives me 27, so 4x plus 27 is less than or equal to. And on the right side, I can put together x and 6x, which gives me 7x. So now I put a couple things together. Now I got to get the variable on one side. Now again, it really doesn't matter. Okay, I like to move it to the left typically, but take a look, you guys, at this problem. Again, right now I only have one constant term. I've got 2 terms that have x in it. So I've got to get those together. So in this case, it's going to make more sense, not that you have to, but it's going to make more sense in this case to subtract 4x from the left side, because then it'll get rid of it over here. Then I've just got 27 on this side. It's less than or equal to. On the other side, I've got 3x. And now I've got to the point when I've got the constant on one side and the variable on the other. And that's what I want. At some point, I got to get here to be able to solve this. Okay, that's how I solve linear problems. Okay, right now I am going to switch it around, give it the old switcheroo here, okay? Just because I do like my variable on the left, and now that I've just got one term with a variable, now it's a good time to switch it. So 3x is greater than or equal to 27. Divide both sides by 3. I'm getting x is greater than or equal to 9. So I'm going to put a 9 down here. I'm going to put some numbers around it, 7, 11. Okay, I'm going to shade in the circle again, because this one is another shade in, because that's the equal to, because it means 9 can be a solution. And I'm going to shade to the right on my number line. All these numbers are solutions. 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 100, 115. Everything above there is a solution to the original inequality. Anything over here I could plug in to all those x's, and the left side will be greater, or less than, I should say, to the right side, because that's what the sign tells me. Okay, and just give me a little more help on that word problem too. One more problem. I'll start off. I'm not going to solve this one, but I will get you going. It says that a video game console costs $259, so you're going to spend $259 on it. Obviously, you need the console so you can play all the games, right? And you're going to spend $29 on each game, so you can buy a bunch of different games, and you've saved $400 to buy as many as you want. So you got to buy the console. You have to buy that, and then you're going to buy a bunch of games too. You've got up to $400, right? So think about it. Each game costs $29. 29 times X, because how many games you're going to buy. 29 times 1, 29 times 2, 29 times 5, 29 times 100. How many games are you going to get? Well, that's going to cost you money. So 29 times X, okay, whatever, how much, that's how much money that costs. Plus how much it costs for the console itself. So the $259. Now that doesn't have an X by it because you don't have to buy a bunch of those. You're just buying one game console. And once you've got that, once you've got the Xbox or got the PS4, then you've got it, okay? And so I buy that, pay for that one time. I pay for all the games, but buying a bunch of different games, they're all $29. All of these costs, right, have to be, well, something compared to 400. And think about it, which inequality am I going to use here? Well, I could spend up to that, right? I could spend up to $400 or anything less than, but I can't spend more than that because that's all I've got in that I've saved up to buy video games. So 29x plus $259, the $259 has got to be less than or equal to the $400 that you've got saved. And now you're going to draw your line and walk through our steps and figure out how many games could you possibly afford.